White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Night 3. The third night fell over St. Petersburg like a velvet curtain, soft and luminous. The city, bathed in the pale glow of the white nights, seemed suspended between dream and waking. The streets were quieter than usual, the canals still, and the sky held that strange eternal twilight that made time feel irrelevant. He arrived early, as he always did. The young man, still nameless to us, as if anonymity were part of his essence, stood by the familiar railing of the bridge. His heart beat with a quiet urgency. Would she come again? Would the girl with the dark eyes and the trembling voice return? And then, as if summoned by his longing, she appeared. Nastenka walked toward him, her steps hesitant, her gaze lowered. She wore the same simple dress, the same shawl drawn tightly around her shoulders. But something in her demeanor had shifted. There was a weight in her eyes, a tension in her smile. They greeted each other gently, as if afraid to disturb the fragile bond that had formed between them over the past 2 nights. He offered his arm, and she took it, and together they began to walk along the embankment, their steps echoing softly on the cobblestones. For a while they spoke of trivial things, the weather, the city, the books they loved. But the air between them was thick with unspoken thoughts. Finally she paused, turned to him, and said, "I received a letter." He stopped. "From him?" She nodded. "He's returned. He wants to see me. Tomorrow." The words fell like stones into the stillness. He felt them ripple through him, each syllable a quiet blow. But he said nothing. He only looked at her, trying to memorize her face, the way the light touched her cheek, the way her lips trembled when she spoke. "I don't know what to do," she continued. "I waited for him. I dreamed of this moment. But now I'm afraid." He wanted to tell her everything, that he loved her, that he had loved her from the first moment she spoke to him, that he had built entire futures in his mind, futures where she stayed, where they walked these streets not as strangers, but as something more. But he didn't. Instead, he smiled. "You should see him," he said. "You've waited so long." She looked to him, eyes wide, with something between gratitude and sorrow. "You're so kind," she whispered. "Too kind." They sat on a bench beneath a flickering street lamp. The silence returned, but it was no longer comfortable. It was heavy, final. She leaned her head on his shoulder, and he dared not move. He wanted to freeze time, to stay in that moment forever. Then, from across the street, a voice called her name. She stood up, startled. There he was, her long-lost love, standing in the shadows, waiting. She turned to the young man. "Forgive me," she said. "I must go." He nodded. "Go. Be happy." She hesitated, then ran to the other man. They embraced. She looked back once, her eyes full of something he couldn't name. And then she was gone. He remained on the bench, alone. The city around him seemed to exhale, the night deepening into a softer shade of blue. He didn't cry. He didn't move. He simply sat, watching the place where she had disappeared. In that moment he understood something profound, that even the briefest connection, the most fleeting love, could leave a mark that time would never erase. He had loved. He had been loved, if only for a moment, and that, perhaps, was enough.